As we read multiple literary pieces that were representative of American literature throughout the course, I was able to gain a deep understanding of American identity. To me, and based on what I saw and gathered as I was reading, the American identity is centered upon finding a voice. I saw in nearly every piece that we read an author or speaker who yearned to find and establish their voice. I'm going to go into some detail about the pieces that stuck out the most and how I saw a pursuit of finding a voice as characteristic of American identity. One of the first pieces we read was A Model of Christian Charity, which was a sermon by John Winthrop. Winthrop charges his colony to act in service towards one another and to be united. I see Winthrop in the pursuit of finding a voice through his establishments that this new nation ought to lead and lead well. He asserted that they must lead by example, and he wanted their voice to be heard through their actions because he wanted to demonstrate to onlookers what he believed it looked like to act in faith. The next piece where I saw the characteristic of finding a voice as part of the American identity was in Phyllis Wheatley's poem on being brought from Africa to America. In her poem, Wheatley wants her faith to be known and heard. Something interesting I saw that I thought was extremely sophisticated and a step above the context of the time period was Wheatley did not necessarily argue a harsh battle against racism, even though she had every right to. Instead, she took the route of pursuing this voice being heard, that as Christians and as sinners all are equal. She longed for her voice to be heard, that all people are sinful, blacks and whites alike, and with Christ all become children of God, blacks and whites alike. A third piece where I saw the American identity play out through finding a voice was in Charlotte Perkins Gilman's story, The Yellow Wallpaper. Gilman is a voice for women of the time period, and in her piece, she makes a really striking statement that women have been silenced in society by men. Through her story, she pursues her voice being heard, so as to speak out against submission and male oppression. She takes an extreme route, of suggesting that the narrator's hallucinations and volatile battle with depression are caused by her husband forcing her to stay in the house and comply with his wishes. Gilman exposes the reality of that period that women were viewed and treated as inadequate when in fact women were and are equally as capable. The last, and to me one of the most vivid examples of finding a voice, was in Martin Luther King's address to the nation, I Have a Dream. King has this conviction and a burning passion for justice to be served, and he pursues finding a voice amongst a huge audience on a national scale. Something I noticed and thought was so insightful and important was how King takes his dream and relates it to others and says, I know you have this dream too. He's a voice for freedom and equality and peace and justice. He's a voice for himself through how he talks about his children and his religious beliefs, but he identifies that individuals within that mass probably have similar dreams.